And welcome back to the Swandingo Files. My guest today is Annette Marie Whittenberger. Today we're going to be discussing why she joined the military, what she did as a career and achievements, and her transition out and how she's crushing it today. So, how's it going?
Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
Hello. If you just want to go over, like, start why did you join the military?
So, I attended an all-girl Catholic high school, and I had a friend who enlisted, and I thought it was so cool. It was like unheard of in our school. Everybody went off to, UCLA or USC or, schools like that. So I actually ventured out and I thought I was going to enlist. I had the recruiter at my house. It was about to get signed, those papers, but I chickened out. So I didn't do it. But in the back of my mind, I always knew that I just respected those that were in uniform. I didn't know more than just the Army. And so when I went to after community college, when I chose a university, I they specifically had to have an ROTC program because I knew I wanted to try it. So my intention was just to try it out, maybe do 3 years and then be done with it. But my life changed, and I served way longer than that. And yeah, it was not in my plan, but that's how it turned out.
So, let me ask you this: what was your job, and how long did you actually do in the military?
So I commissioned as a chemical officer
Oh
with
wow.
the branch detail of military intelligence, and I served for 17 years and 4 months.
Wow. Now, did you meet your husband while you were in, or did you know him before you joined the military?
I knew him before. He was a what they called a gold bar recruiter at the university, just waiting for his time to move on to Germany. And I was still a cadet. So I met him during the whole training process.
Okay. And how long have you guys been married now?
Almost 25 years.
Oh wow. That's great to hear, especially in the dual military. So let me ask you this: was there ever any issues with both you being in the military? Were you ever separated at any point between two different duty stations, or were you able to stick together the entire time?
So, as a lot of people know, there's always some complications in a marriage when you are each focusing on your own career path. We were able to PCS to the same location, but with that involved deployment. So we were separated for deployments, and raising our kids throughout that whole process too. That was really difficult, but yeah, I don't know how we did it. But we managed, and yeah, it was challenging.
And how many kids do you have?
We have two.
So both of you are officers, then, right?
Yes.
And you must have some pretty smart kids then.
They're smart, but man, if any of you guys have a 20-year-old and a 22-year-old, then you would know. Or being 20-year-olds ourselves, it's very, yes, there's God is testing me.
Well, I got six kids, and my oldest is only 11 years old, so my
Oh,
youngest is two.
oh
So
my gosh, that's amazing.
yeah, it's you want to talk about difficult with that many little kids running around the house, and one girl, five boys. So it's oh, she's yeah, the girl is spoiled
She's
big
going to be
time.
tough though because she's already going to have that experience.
She's about to be four, and she still tries to pick on my 11-year-old, the oldest boy. He just kind of lets it happen though, but
I
that's
love
kind of
it.
funny.
Oh,
So, you did 17 years and now are you retired then?
I am retired. So I know there's a lot of confusion with that. So I was not picked up for the next rank of lieutenant
Mhm.
colonel. And so they gave me the option to either finish out my time in the National Guard of the Reserves or take the retirement. And after 30 days of research, I chose the retirement.
I really don't blame you. So, at what point? So, how far? how far out did you start transitioning the process? And as I know, as an officer, it's different than the lower enlisted. So,
Mhm.
um, what were some of your fears and worries about transitioning out, and when did you actually start looking?
So because of the situation I was in of not being promotable, I had 6 months. So, and that sucked. I'm going to be
Mm.
honest. It was a rush. I felt pressured. I felt so much I was so overwhelmed because I didn't feel like I had enough time. I had to quickly go through the 7 day um, process of the TAPS and the transition process, and I just don't. Although the military, the army does try to prepare you for jobs and resumes, they don't prepare you mentally. And
Mm.
so I was not mentally prepared to be a whole different person. When you serve your time, you are that uniform, you are that rank, you are that leader, right? So when you get out, it's like, wait a minute, I don't have that anymore. I don't have my people. I don't have to get up to go to PT. So they don't prepare you for that, and I was completely lost.
Yeah, it can definitely be scary. I know I was given about little bit more than 6 months, like 8 months, where they told me I was get medically retired, and I figured I'd have a little bit of time, but it was fairly rushed. And then, of
Hmm.
course, I had 3 kids at the time, and my wife ended up pregnant again with number four. So it's like I was in E7, didn't really know like what I wanted to do yet, but plus part of it was the mental health issue. Let me ask you, what's your husband's branch?
He's a military police.
Okay, so he's probably deployed quite a bit also.
He has, yes.
So how is both of your during the transition period? I know he's still in. uh, How do you guys deal with the mental health issue of everything?
We didn't know how because he is a completely different person than me. He was prior service before, so his mentality was different. It's like, okay, suck it up, keep driving on, keep moving forward. And I was in this space where I didn't know how. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't even really discover all the issues I was going through until I had nowhere to go but my couch. And so he didn't know how to deal with me, and I didn't even know how to deal with me. So it was very hard. It wasn't until I decided to voice it, like I had to actually talk about it. I actually had to put it on social media so that I could um, not claim it, to understand that okay, this is what I'm going through, and it was hard. It was really, really hard.
Yeah, I mean that was part of the reason why I got medically retired. I finally did break too, while I was in. You know, maybe one day we can talk more about what happened. But I ended up
Yes.
going to Texas from Fort Polk, Louisiana, to 47-day inpatient treatment, and it was good while I was there. But it was a safety net. Everything was
Hmm.
structured. It was safe. There was no outside stressors um, to interrupt any of the treatment. Well, that's all fine and dandy until you actually get back to the real world. You got kids, you got the military, you're still thinking about your career at that time I was, and it just completely collapsed. And that's when my therapist I was seeing at the time, which Fort Polk didn't have a very good system set up in place for soldiers, no matter officers or enlisted,
Hmm.
to continue the treatment properly. And she finally just said, I'm going to recommend you for a medical retirement. And it's like, I mean, that I think that made it even worse. But so, how are you? How are you dealing with your mental health today, though?
So today is better. I have been retired 6 years, well, since 2016, and so I still have my days. It's not perfect, but it is a lot better because I just realized that I don't want to suffer from my PTSD, depression, and anxiety. I need to live. I still have kids. I still need to show them how life is, and I need to be there for them. So it's definitely better, but it doesn't just go away. You just learn how to manage it, or you learn how to talk about it.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that one right there. It never does go away, no matter. You can talk about it, but it's still going to be there. But you have to have a safety person to talk to, and I think that's my wife for the most part.
Hmm.
Um, she's also lost her brother, who me and him served in 2003-4 in Iraq together as scouts, and then we were roommates at Fort Riley. And about 2 years ago, he finally drank himself to death.
Oh,
And we
so
we
sorry.
tried to get him to help, and this is where you know I'm glad I'm doing this now because maybe if I would have found you or somebody else before, because I tried going to the VA and be like, we know he's sleeping on the bridges at times. We know he's drinking. As far as we know, the only thing he was doing was drinking, but we don't know for sure.
Right.
And we knew the time was coming, but VA wouldn't admit him. Um, Military or the VA hospitals wouldn't admit him. Um, None of the mental health places, like civilian places, would admit them. Like they have to walk in on their own. But it's like, at what point can you tell a person is over the edge and can just admit them? But I think that's where we're kind of broken. Not just the VA and the military, but the entire United States. We're definitely broken there. But so after you transitioned out, I know I'm kind of babbling on my end, and I'm not letting you tell your
No,
story.
it's okay. No, I just want to say you're right. There, although there are a lot more resources now than there was 20 years ago, we're still losing that part. We're still missing that part of when can we admit this person and say they need help? Because going through it yourself, you're going to say you're fine. I'm fine. I can
Hmm.
do this. I
Hmm.
don't need anyone to tell me what to do. And if we're not going to admit it, we're not going to admit ourselves sometimes. It's too hard. So when is it going to be that time to where we can bring somebody in and say you need to help them or they're not going to make it. So you're right. And we need to do better. And I don't know how to fix it, but I'm going to just keep trying and you'll keep trying until something is done.
We get enough of us together, maybe somebody Congress will finally enact something, but
Right.
I don't know if I'm relying much on my politicians anymore to help us,
I know.
unfortunately.
Yes.
Um, so how long after you transitioned out, I know you started a whole bunch of other stuff to try to reach out to veterans, talk to them. How long did you start before what was it, a wild ride or
Called life.
called
A wild
life?
ride called life. It took almost a year to finally decide that I needed to do more than just talk on Facebook because at that time, Facebook was the platform. I had some backlash. I had some people questioning why are you putting yourself out there on Facebook, and I get it. But it kind of stung a little bit, and I was like, well, shit, I don't know if I want to talk about this anymore. And then I decided, you know what, that's it. Go big or go home. And I had another veteran help me create my website. And then I started the blog, and then it all started from there. So, but yeah, I think it just needed to happen for me. Not everybody can do that or wants to do that, but I needed to do that.
And you did you write a book now too, or
I did. I wrote a book almost 2 years ago. It's called The Wall Between Two Lives.
and what does that book entail?
So it goes into my childhood trauma,
Mm.
my some military sexual trauma, and then the depression and all that. Yeah, that was a hard one.
Sorry, I just kind of I don't like hearing about that kind of stuff, but I understand. Um, and what all does your organization, what all do they, or what all do you do for veterans?
So I also host a podcast and I am a mentor and I work with other nonprofits. I basically do all the things because I want to reach them in any way possible. And so, yeah, I do a multitude of things because I can't stop. Like people have told me, you need to focus on one thing. I can't focus on one thing. I think I have ADHD. I need to do all, I swear. And I'm okay with it because I can't focus on one thing. If I need to do a podcast to get ourselves heard, then I'm going to do that. I will write. I'm also an independent artist, so I'm a songwriter and I want to write songs for all of us to express ourselves, because music is is healing for some of us. Not everybody, but for me, especially, and if I can, translate how I feel into a song and make it beautiful, then that's what I'm gonna do.
I don't know if my life would be that interesting enough for a song or not, but
Oh, I
I
know
don't
it
know.
can. Even if it's like a rock song or a rap song, it can happen.
I'm gonna have to listen to some of your songs first for I'll let you make it into a song because it's kind of a lot of kids and military and I don't know, maybe.
There's
So
country songs out there that talk about that. So yes.
I don't know. New age country isn't as I guess depressing as the old age country. I guess the I set your truck on fire, your dog died, wife left you, stuff like that anymore.
Oh
I
my
think it's
gosh.
more upbeat a little bit more now.
It's
But
amazing what you could do with songs now. So yeah, I believe in it.
no, I believe in you, and I definitely like your message that you're getting out to veterans and trying to get them to every little bit of help helps. I mean, and when you as you were transitioning, what do you wish you would have known before you transitioned out?
I wish I would have known that it was okay to just be me.
Mm,
In the beginning, I was told that I smiled too much, and then I was told that I was too nice, and so I ended up being a bitch. I did because I didn't know. I was surrounded by infantrymen and field artillerymen, and I just I didn't. I changed. I wasn't the same Annette as I came in, and that's okay. You can change, but I really changed. I mean, I went to dark places. I did dumb things, shameful things because I didn't know how to process it. So I would drink, and then I would smoke, and then you know what I mean? Like I acted completely out of character, and I wish I would have known that it was okay to go seek therapy. It was okay to have these feelings, but I tried so hard to mask it and to try to be this tough ass person, and that just it wasn't me. So again, when we transition out, we're like, shit, who I don't even know who I am anymore because I was this person for so long. So that's why I think it's so important that we use this message to tell these kids. I say kids because I'm 47, but to tell these young soldiers or young officers that don't lose yourself,
mhm.
and if you need help, there's nonprofits that can help you or whatever the case. There's so many resources. So I wish I would have had that.
Well, I'm glad I'm hearing from a female perspective because military is a male-dominated world, but we don't hear enough. We always hear about the men going off to wars and doing all this other stuff. Well, the military is changing now.
Yeah.
I don't know how much at the end of when you were getting out. So I've been out since 2017, and they just started implementing females into combat roles.
Yep.
And females need to hear this too, that it's okay to act like the men and all that, but you know, if you need the help too, you need to reach out and you can still be feminine, you can still be a female, but you know, we accept the females for females and accepted them that they can carry their own weight, but they
Right.
need help too. Um,
Yes, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
oh,
off.
you're good.
I just think that for either gender, because even with the men, you guys try so hard to be this tough person as well, that if you show any emotion, you're weak. And we have to teach our kids now that it's not being weak. You know what I mean? You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to have these feelings, whether it's on the side or not. You don't have to do it in front of your troops, but we have to lead from the top down and remind
Mhm.
them that it's okay, and we're not doing that enough.
Yeah, definitely not because I know I came in 2003 and it was, all my drills are not drill sergeants, but my section sergeants, platoon sergeants, they had been in so long already that there was no real mental health. So that was just, tough it up. I remember getting blown up on my first one in 2003. We had the Discovery Channel with us that day.
Mm,
And I got my bell rung pretty good, but nothing. Like, I didn't get to see I had a piece of shrapnel, but because I was just able to clean it up myself, nothing. So my head was ringing pretty good all day but they've changed a lot of that. And after so many concussions and exposure, you know, they start giving you time off, and then they eventually they send you home if you get too many of them now.
Right.
So things are changing. I like it, but it's still hard for. I think someone was. I'm about to say older too, but I'm only 38. But you know, once you hit that certain rank in the military, especially like E7 and above, major and above, people start seeing you as an old person, and it's like
Right.
I'm not even old. I was an E7 at like what 32 or 33, whatever it was. Like I'm not old. So,
No.
but no, so what was your biggest accomplishment though in the military? Would you say?
Gosh, being able to be a company commander, that was huge for me because in our branch we don't get that opportunity, and I loved it. I got to deploy my soldiers to Iraq and bring them back, and that was huge for me. It was like my family and my kids, and although it was nerve-wracking and my first deployment, I loved it. And I'll always remember that. And I think the fact that I'm still in contact with some of my soldiers that I had back in 2005, that means the world to me. So I love hearing from them. I love seeing them excel, no matter if it's still in the military or not. And being told that I was was a good commander, just that warms my heart. I loved it.
Well, I wish I would have had you as the commander at some point. So 'cause I had good and I had bad, but um, so how can people find you, get a hold of you, your social media handles, stuff like that?
I'm on basically everything as A Wild Ride Called Life, and then you can go to the website awildridecalledlife.com.
All right. And how's your husband dealing with you doing all this? How does he feel about you doing all this?
He has made some comments about you put too much on social media, and but at the end of the day he understands why, and as long as I respect boundaries, I don't talk about him a lot because he's still in, and I don't want to put him out there, and my kids, they don't want to be mentioned a lot either. So I respect boundaries, but I send the message that I need to send, and I help those that I can. And so that's what's important.
All right. And how much longer before you guys retire?
He could
Or he retire?
retire. He can retire now, but he's not ready, and that's another mental health thing. Well, not mental health thing. It's just he's not ready yet. He doesn't know what he wants to do, and he will be in for 30 years. So whenever, yeah, I know. Whenever he's ready, then that's it. I'm not gonna force him.
So what's your final destination? Where do you want to go for the rest of your life? What state
Mm.
or
Well, I came back to Texas. This was my first, this is where we bought our house, and this is where we stayed the longest. And my daughter's 2.5 hours away. My son's here, so I'm gonna be here for a little while.
all right. Yeah, I just moved down here to Texas about a year and a half ago from Illinois because that's where I
Okay.
went after I got retired out.
Where in Texas
And
are you?
Wichita Falls, right on the border of Oklahoma.
Okay.
So not too big, it's not too small, got everything we need, but it's still Texas culture. And you know, I'm not a true Texan yet. I haven't been here 2 years yet, but getting there. And the people down here are a lot nicer. The food's a lot better. I don't know about the weather though. I don't.
This weather's crazy.
It was just 80 degrees a couple like last week, and all of a sudden now it's like 40 today.
I
So,
know. You just don't put your clothes away. Keep it all out.
well, that's why I moved down here to Texas. I thought I'd get rid of my winter stuff. I
Nope.
guess not. No, no. So, do you have any last thing you want to talk about, or
I just the, and I know it's a cliche, but really, it is okay not to be okay. And you can always reach out to me. I give out my phone number for people to text, and it could be anonymous. I've had people reach out to me on Instagram. I just I want you to have somebody to listen if that's what you need.
all right? And I appreciate the message, and I appreciate how much work you putting forward to the veterans. Um, but all right, well, this wraps up everything with Swandingo Files today. I guess Annette Marie Whittenberger, sorry, and her her a wildlife. How do you say it again?
A wild ride called life.
A wild ride called life. please check her out. She's doing fantastic and great things for the veterans today, and she's going to continue for the foreseeable future.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.